Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Great White. But before we get into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. It's going to be a day, guys. We apologize in advance. 5 hours of sleep. Anyways, so today, using my official Horror Movie Tea merch mug, I am drinking the Plum Deluxe Peaches and Cream Oolong Tea, which has blackberry oolong tea, black tea, oolong tea, apple pieces, apricot pieces, calendula, peach and vanilla essence, and love and gratitude. And yes, this does have caffeine. What about you, Jess?
I am also drinking out of our Horror Movie Tea merch mugs. It's the I'm going to kill you at some point mug. And I am also drinking our affiliate Plum Deluxe tea. This one is the strawberry honeysuckle black tea. So it has black tea, strawberry pieces, raspberry leaf, calendula, and honeysuckle essence. And this one also has caffeine.
Yes.
It is needed.
It was a desperate morning. A desperate day for us. But for our tea sippers out there, pour yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. And
I really hope that caffeine kicks in soon.
Well, and I also have a canker sore, and it's one of those where it's like every single time I talk, it's like, ouch, ouch. But we did want to, before I talk about how much pain I'm in, we did want to thank Plum Deluxe once again for allowing us to continue to do what we love. So for the summary of Great White, this couple it's like boyfriend and girlfriend, like they're not married. They have like a seaplane and they do tours and stuff like that, it sounded like. But anyways, in this particular instance, this boyfriend and girlfriend wanted to drop her grandfather's ashes on a beach where it sounded like he had a shipwreck during, I think, World War II. Whenever they get there, they see a body, and they go kind of flying around, and then they see the boat where the body came from, and then the shark attacks the plane, and they get stranded on a raft. And so it's about them surviving. Yay. Survival.
As most shark movies are.
Yes, yeah. Though interestingly enough, Jaws isn't. You know, it's about them finding the shark.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. But it's like, yeah, Deep Blue Sea. There's so many.
Jaws 2.
Yes. Anyways. Well, where did we go wrong? But anyways, so for entertainment, this movie I really hadn't heard of before we watched it. And while it's not the best shark movie that I've seen, the effects are pretty good. It's kind of like Deep Blue Sea, the first one effects, where it appears that they use some form of a mechanical shark. There are a few like CG moments that you're like, ooh, that
noticeably CG. But...
yeah, where you're like, oh, that's not so good. But for the most part, the effects of this movie compared to some other or most other shark movies that we've seen, it's pretty good. It's like, you can think of it as like in between, like, it's not quite as good as like the Shallows effects, but it's not Santa Jaws.
Oh God.
It's way better.
It is not Santa Jaws.
Yeah. But I would rate this a 7. Just, it's like the story itself is pretty compelling. The characters for the most part are likable. The boyfriend of the girl that's trying to like release the ashes, he was annoying. And it was is just one of those characters where you're like, when are you gonna die? And I hate when movies do that crap.
He's such an unlikable character. Like, you can tell he does love his girlfriend or wife or whoever she is to him, but he is a jerk to everyone else.
Yeah, and it's like, I hate when movies do that crap, because it's like, it doesn't, at that point in time, you're just hoping that the characters are going to die versus feeling the tension of who is going to die, how are they going to die, you know? But at least I have seen shark movies before where all of the characters you don't like. So at least with this one, there's only one character.
Yeah, everybody else was decent.
Yeah, everyone else was pretty likable.
Like, his girlfriend was kind of useless. She was soft.
Yeah. But she did help at the end.
She did help, yes. She just, you know.
Yeah. But my biggest beef with this movie is the fact that, like, it's the dumb character syndrome, where these characters that are very competent throughout pretty much the whole movie, and they end up killing one of the sharks, but then literally right after, her boyfriend is like, I love you, bye. And then he attempts to kill the shark, but it doesn't even look like he attempted, because he missed so badly when the shark was coming right at him and was just feet away. It was so stupid. Like, there's no reason for them to kill him off. Like, the situation that the wife or the girlfriend was in, the blonde chick, just to clarify, because there's multiple potential girlfriends.
Main final girl.
Yes. It's like, whenever she is under the boat, that could have been him, and then she could have come down to rescue him or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're trying to give the other girl character, like, a little bit more use, or, like, what the purpose was, but it just seems so out of left field.
And it was completely avoidable.
Yes. So, if it was one of those situations where you're like, okay, if we were in that situation, that'd be completely unavoidable. Like, it freaking sucks, but it probably would happen that way. No, it's like, they got the shark the first time. They essentially had experience, and then they immediately just killed him off with him, like, terribly trying to kill the second shark. So, yeah, I'm not buying it.
No.
But overall, I don't regret watching the movie. It's good to know that there are still decent shark movies that are coming out in the slew of absolute
crap,
horseshit, that we've had to watch. We suffer for you, I know, and us. But I think this is like, this movie to me is kind of a forgettable movie. Like, it's not going to, I personally don't think it's going to necessarily stand the test of time compared to some of the other classic shark movies. But I think it's worth the watch. And I think a lot of people will get something out of it. So that's my take.
So this movie was decent. It was a lot better than the Wreck one. But it does seem a little flat. It is a little forgettable. It kind of fades into the background. So I would give it a 6. We've seen much better, but we also have seen a heck of a lot worse. Effects on the whole are just shy of par. Just subpar. Just barely. There were some areas that it was decent effects, but then in other scenes, like when it attacks the plane, it's a little bad.
Yeah, like, there's parts where you're like, oh, this is a B movie, but then the majority of the movie, I don't get B movie vibes.
It's like just shy of A.
Yeah.
It's like B+.
B+. It's
a B+ movie.
Or A-.
I wouldn't quite call it A-.
Okay, B+.
Not quite, yeah. But it's got a decent range of character personalities. A lot of their interactions are fairly believable and organic. You do get the different kind of reactions to their situation, where, the pilot and his girlfriend are like in crisis mode and they're like, all right, we got to do this to try to keep alive and all. This is what we need to do. This is what our situation is. This is our best option.
Yeah.
And the girl client goes along with it. You know, they are the ones with experience, so let's listen to them.
Yep.
And
The smart move.
Yes. And then her boyfriend was the complete jackass with everything. Just panicking all the time, yelling at everybody else and all, which is fairly believable. I could easily see someone in that situation acting like that.
Yeah.
And lashing out and all just because they're scared. But at the same time, do we really need it in like every movie ever? I mean, it is kind of satisfying when those characters get eaten or killed by the monster or whatever. But we don't necessarily need it either.
Yeah.
And oftentimes those particular characters take way too long in the movie to be ended. So if we could not for a little while with those kind of characters, that would be fantastic.
Please, like any of those like tense like survival movies. It doesn't even have to be a shark movie. Just any of the, I mean, a lot of sci-fi originals do that crap.
Yeah.
Where they just make them a complete douchebag and you're like, okay, when are you gonna die? And they never die early enough.
Oh,
like,
no. You're, like, begging the killer or the monster or whatever the evil is or big bad is. Like, please, can you kill them first?
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to listen to them
I know. And they
anymore.
always wait so long and you're just suffering the whole time.
Oftentimes, they're, like, the second to last person to die or
Yes.
the last person to die.
I hate when movies do that crap.
You just have to suffer through them the entire time.
Yeah. Like, actually have characters
It's
that we
not
care about, please.
Necessary. It actually makes it more tragic when the characters that you like die. So if you make like all of the characters fairly likable and then just have them killed off one by one, not to any fault of their own, just because they're in a crap situation and there was no way out of it, then that's super tragic and that makes you feel a lot more for their situation and gives you a lot more investment into the story when that happens.
Yeah, well, I know writers also have to be careful because if an audience likes a character too much, if they kill that character off, then the audience will get really mad at the movie. So it's kind of finding a balance. But it's like, you don't need to make a character a douchebag. Make them like an average person, like likable personality. And then in your main characters, the one that you're planning on surviving, have those be the ones that are fully fleshed out, the ones that you fully, can sympathize with and appreciate. So that way it's like you just completely remove the douchebag part of the movie, and then you have characters that people are going to relate to and be sad when they die, but it's not going to be like, I'm mad at you for killing my favorite character.
So a good way to avoid killing off the character that everybody loves the most is to not put a dog in the horror movie.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very true.
Or have the dog live.
Or a cat.
Yeah. Because that's just not okay. If you're going to put a dog in a horror movie solely to kill them off, you're a horrible person. It's unnecessary.
I mean, they don't actually kill
You
the
can
dog.
make your... It doesn't matter. You can make your point without killing the dog. Just saying. Thankfully, this movie didn't have a dog, and therefore the dog survived.
Yes. I do love in Meg how, like, they did have a dog and they didn't kill it off. They made it seem like they killed it off. And then later down the line, you see it swimming towards the boat. But anyways, we're not talking about Meg, but that's a great movie.
That's a different one. There were some inconsistencies with certain things that we'll get to in the realism scale, but it does take you out of that story mode, and it's not quite as immersive when you have those inconsistencies. And there were a couple of dumb deaths, like the main guy.
Yes. Like,
But-
if you have to think of a dumb death to kill off a character, and that's all you can think of, don't kill off that character.
Yeah, no. find another way. Like, there's no reason for it. Some of them can be entertaining, but with this kind of movie, it's not really supposed to be... It didn't really come across as like a spoof movie or like a dark horror or dark comedy, rather, kind of movie. If you are doing a dark comedy, kind of like Tucker and Dale, that's the kind of movie where stupid deaths really are great and they have a place there. In this serious kind of movie, the dumb death is just kind of...
It makes it stick out more.
It's annoying. It's more annoying than anything.
Yeah, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yes, it does. Especially when they're completely avoidable dumb deaths.
Yeah.
So... But it is worth a watch. It does play a lot on, like, thalassophobia. So the fear of dark water or deep, vast water that you can't really see through or that feels dangerous. They do a decent job with that in this movie. So I feel like they could have played on it just a little bit more. But the level that they had was good. It is, again, worth a watch, but I don't know if I would watch it like a second or third time unless I had it on in the background kind of movie.
Yeah, it'd be like after a good couple of years and maybe in the background. But it's like there's so many other solid shark movies that I would watch before this one. It is, like we said before, it is kind of fades into the background, a little bit forgettable.
It does. The acting, for the most part, was really good, though. So, again, if you've got nothing else to do, can't really find anything else, this is a decent one, especially to watch with friends.
Yeah, it's just, I don't feel like it brings anything too unique to the table.
No, not really. It's kind of the average gotta survive on a raft kind of movie.
Yeah. Which is like, when did shark movies become survival movies? But
well, that's probably the most common situation that someone would be in to encounter a shark like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Get more creative. That's all we're asking.
Yes, please.
Anyway, let's move on to realism.
Yes. So, well, first, I want to take a little tea break. It's been a while. I completely forgot I had the peaches and cream oolong, and I remember it being one of my favorites, and it does not disappoint.
The strawberry honeysuckle is a really good morning tea.
I need to find a new doodad. Yeah, it's like, I really like the peaches and cream oolong because it's just so light. And and peaches and cream oolong, like, who would have thought of that flavor combination? It's not like sweet. It kind of like balances out the bitterness, but
it's more of a smooth kind of flavor.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's nice.
Yeah.
But for realism, I would rate it's like last week we covered the Requiem, and so I did my rating based off of that movie, and I feel like for the most part, like the character reactions and stuff like that were a little bit more realistic than with this movie. So this movie, I would rate it a 1.5. Like I guess not necessarily the character reactions themselves, but it's mainly the shark that, like, they showed the shark a lot, and so there's a lot of opportunity for the realism scale to be shot down. So the shark attacking the plane was just like maybe like a curiosity nibble, but the way that it just like rammed it just doesn't seem likely that a shark would do that, because first of all, that's super risky for the shark, because if it doesn't work in its favor, that's going to potentially injure the shark. But then also the fact that it's like it's metal. It just doesn't, I mean, I haven't heard of sharks attacking maybe like standstill propellers and stuff like that, but I don't know. You just don't hear about sharks attacking those kind of planes.
I mean, it's a puddle jumper, and the feet that it attacked was, I think it was actually mostly plastic, kind of, because it has to float, and it was filled with air.
But it looked like on top of it, though, was metal. But either way, it's
I could see that part. I don't see it shaking like it did, like, kind of like a dog with a toy.
Yeah.
It was a little overboard, but I could still kind of see it at least biting it and ripping a hole in it.
Yeah, but not to the extent where they wouldn't be able to, like, leave. But, I mean, because it's like, if it was in the realm of possibility, we would have heard about a situation where a shark bit. I mean, it's like whenever shark attacks happen, you hear about it everywhere.
I don't know. I feel like they're a bit more common with, especially with, like, boats. Like, they do that a lot.
Yeah, but it's like...
so I could kind of see it. I don't see it to the extent that it went.
Yeah, like I said, I see in the realm of possibility of a curiosity bite, but I don't see the extent that happened in the movie. And then, oh my god, the fin just chasing them in the water was just like so ridiculous. Yeah. And it was a little bit, with it being... Because if I remember right, there was no really blood in the water that was attracting the sharks. Like, the sharks just attacked them. And the fact that not only was there even one shark that was attacking them for practically no reason, but there were multiple great whites. Like, great whites tend to be solo hunters. Like, once in a while, you know, if they're mates, they'll hunt together. But for the most part, great whites are very well known for being solo hunters. So that just doesn't seem at all in the realm of possibility. Unless if they just so happen to be in an area where there's a bunch of juvenile sharks. But even then, it's like they don't get too close to each other. It's just crazy. And then having the sharks roar, like scream in pain and then roar in anger is just freaking ridiculous. I don't know why these shark movies keep making their sharks roar. There would be no noise whatsoever. Because at least for me personally, like, not thinking about the realism, but strictly thinking entertainment, I don't find it entertaining to be like, oh, the shark roared. It's stupid to me.
Yeah.
If anything, it takes away the entertainment.
Yeah. We were laughing the first time we watched it.
Yeah, because it's like, you can replace the roar with the sounds of the thrashing and then the bubbles or whatever. Just, you know, there's more you can do than being like, oh, here's a roar. Like, just, anyways. But I will give this movie credit for the very mint of the characters. And the characters themselves do seem like people that could actually exist in real life. And they did do some smart things. Like, they collected rainwater to help prevent dehydration and stuff like that. So it's like, and honestly, that part did impress me because in these movies, you typically don't see that kind of active. They typically are just like, oh, don't drink the seawater. But then they just, like, sit there and just, like, waste away.
Yeah.
But they like, were actively trying to collect, like, the rainwater and actually trying to survive. It wasn't just, like, the minimum amount needed to have this kind of movie. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, that's all I got for realism.
So today's going to be a little unusual. I'm going to give it a 3.
Oh, that
it was more believable to me than Requiem. It was. The character interactions, while a couple of the characters were a little annoying, were believable. And the situation itself, I could see if it was a good enough curious nibble on the plane. I mean, it's a big creature, so any bite's going to be pretty bad.
Fair.
Again, it wouldn't have, like, shook the thing like a dog with a toy or anything. It wouldn't have been that bad. But I could still see there being a pretty good sized gaping hole in the thing and it taking water and them not being able to take off with it and it sinking. I could see that. I could also see if, you know, there happened to be 2 sharks in the area or it's mating season and there's a male and female around. I could see 2 sharks. It's unlikely because, again, they are generally solo hunters, but it could happen. I could see that. I can, as frustrating as it is, also see the chick falling asleep and dropping the oar into the water.
I forgot about that.
Oh my god, that
so
made me so mad. But I could see that happening. You know, you're kind of dehydrated, you're exhausted, it's a crazy situation. And after a while, the body just kind of shuts down. And she fell asleep when it was her turn to row. So I could see that happening, as frustrating as it would be. But some of their stuff was just inconsistent, like the water being way too calm during the rainstorm when they're on the raft and everything. And it is good that they collected a lot of that water, but they would have been jostled around so much.
Yeah.
In a storm like that. And it was just kind of calm, little ripples and all. Yeah, no. That's not how that do. The knife looked like it was like a plastic Halloween dollar store kind of knife. One of those like super shiny kind of plastic knives. I feel like they could have gotten a better prop there. Them stabbing the shark in the head, it didn't really make that much sense. In a couple different scenes, really you're supposed to go for like the eyes or the gills, the softer bits.
Yeah.
That'll do more damage and make the shark think twice and be like, you know what, this is too much trouble. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
Because they are opportunists. I think there was a little bit of blood that might have attracted them at first from the helper guy.
Yeah.
And they are, again, opportunists. So if they know that there's a potential food source and there's not really anything else nearby, then yeah, they'll follow a boat or a raft or something. If it's a raft, they'll likely give it like a test nibble or breach, kind of like they did in this one, and knock everybody off it. And that would likely puncture it, and like it did in the actual show, they were losing air in it. So I can see some of that stuff happening. This movie did exaggerate a lot of those, but it wasn't entirely out of the realm of possibility for a lot of it to happen. But the roar was bad. Kind of funny, but bad. And a couple of the deaths were completely avoidable, especially the main guy at the end. So that makes it very, very frustrating and not as believable when something like that happens.
Yeah.
If anything, they could have made it more devastating if he died when, like, he actually made his shot with the flare gun into the shark's mouth and it made the shark veer off. And then while they were getting to shore, it took him down.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was an easier way. There were so many other options.
Yeah.
But no, also, they did a fairly decent job with some of the effects of, like, the dehydration and especially, like, the sunburn. Because a lot of them, most of them had some kind of sunburn. It would have been worse. But they tried. They did try. And they did look fairly sunburned. So, we have seen worse. We have definitely seen worse on that front. But on the whole, it's mostly believable, kind of. It just, there are things that you're like,
Yeah.
that make it just enough that you're like, no.
Yeah.
So, I wish I could give it higher, but we also watched it a couple of weeks ago and it's been a minute. So,
yeah.
I feel like I had more that I was like, no.
Yeah.
But it fades into the background and I can't recall.
That's really how you can tell if a movie stands the test of time is if you watch it and then like a few weeks later, how well you can remember it. But overall, like if you just like shark movies, I feel like it is worth the watch.
It's an alright one.
I feel like it's kind of going to fade into the depths of history. And
it's one of those I'll probably forget that I even watched it in a couple of years. And might be like, I wonder what that's like. And turn it on and be like, oh yeah, this movie.
Yeah. But yeah, if you end up watching it, let us know what you thought of the movie. And if you would like to recommend a movie for us to review, or tea for us to drink, or a game for us to play, or keep up to date with our content, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and most places that you listen to podcasts.
And if you'd like to support the podcast monetarily, we do have a donate button for PayPal that goes directly to the podcast. We also have our affiliate link down below for Plum Deluxe and links for our merch as well down below. And until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye!
Bye.